He's Rick Tyler.
And he's Dan Cashman.
And I'm George Hale. And I'm on the Ric and Dan Show.
In Maine, we often hear,
"You can't get there from here."
These are the stories of the risk takers,
The trailblazers.
those who turn obstacles into opportunities
every day and found their way
to get there from here.
And today,
they're on the Ric and Dan Show.
Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, it looks like he's...
And one more time.
5, 4, 3.
Is this your first day in audio?
did you see that we expanded our entire podcast studio to 6 microphones?
I did.
We had to order gear and have it brought in.
I know.
Don't be such a...
Actually, it's small but nice.
That's
Thank
what
you.
she said.
But those things on the wall will fall off.
We keep licking them and sticking them back up.
Yeah.
Same stuff you got in the...
That's also what she said.
Okay.
This part isn't being run, is it?
Oh, you know darn well we're going to keep
crap.
it.
George and I were just talking about my inability to stay awake, George's inability to fall asleep. But I will say that one of the ways that I do stay awake is with Coffee Hound Coffee Company. They are in our coffee mugs today.
And they've got a phrase that...
Wander, explore, caffeinate.
I was going to say it's an indelibly printed in our brain. Coffee Hound Coffee. It helps us stay awake.
CoffeeHoundCoffeeCo.com.
Dan's show puts us to sleep.
Why do you go there?
I don't know.
Every time, George, every time he's got to get a dig in about the legacy of the night show, of which dozens and dozens of people worked on every single show. You're criticizing all of them. How dare you?
How dare you?
I learned it from him.
How dare he?
You're going to be the Grand Marshal of the 4th of July Parade.
Yeah.
Well, it's the 3rd time I've done this. I've done that once before.
Yeah.
With George Gagne, my boss and I.
That's right. I knew that.
Yeah.
And I did the Arlington Old Home Parade. And I did Belfast.
When it was the Broiler Festival.
Yes. I sit well on the top of convertibles.
We also hear some of the backseat antics you've had in convertibles in years gone by, too.
Well, no, I'm old enough,
parades.
Rick, that I had rumble seat memories. That was the greatest thing ever.
Having a rumble seat?
Your girlfriend's mother and father would take you for a ride, and they would be inside the car, but you would be sitting outside the car in the rumble seat, and you would do everything within your power to make it rumble.
The 4th of July Parade, if it's the 4th of July Parade that it's always been, will start in Brewer at the shopping mall and go down. Now, I bet in years past you ran that route.
I did.
With the Bunker is the name of what's the name of that run? When you have
Walter Hunt.
Walter Hunt.
So you've run that route.
Yes. I've ran it a couple of times. One of the times that I ran it was 30 days after I'd had open heart surgery.
Wow.
And they put in some kind of filter, and they put in a pacemaker. My wife did not know I was going to run on the race. I said, I'll meet you at the finish line. So she was there, and I came up over the hill, and my wife takes a look, and here I come over the hill. Not fast, but I'm over the hill. And she's screaming, "Get off the street! Get out of the street! You're not supposed to be there." I figured if I'm going to go, let's go here in the middle of nowhere, you know.
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
A lot of people have asked me my thoughts on your broadcast career, and 2 things came to mind. Something I didn't realize until, Dan, your special episode of The Night Show, and when I was sitting backstage with you, and someone said something to me and I hadn't realized it. It was Toll. Toll Tompkins said.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, "How long did you work with George?" And I said, 21. We were going on 22 years. And he went, "Huh." And then he stopped and he looked at me and he said, "That's about the longest I think anyone's worked with him."
Well, the number shocked me, really. I every time you've said that, I've said, no, it hasn't been that long.
No.
So we must have been having fun.
I remember I came in to do your 10th anniversary show.
Oh, yeah.
And talk with you guys. And that does not seem like it was that long ago, but it was 11 years ago.
Well, as my wife once said, how did we get so old so fast?
And you said, "Honey, you haven't aged a day."
You haven't aged a day.
Right?
Yeah, it was quite a while.
Yeah. The other thing that came to mind was, and I've said, you could have gone anywhere to be a broadcaster, and you were in a lot of places. Why'd you stay here?
Well, it's a question people ask me frequently, and it's recently a lot, because they made note of the 73 years. I was working in New Jersey. I'd done radio in New Jersey. My brother was a program director at WBRE and WSCR in Pennsylvania at the time. He left broadcasting. But I knew that I wanted to be in New York. Of course, I grew up in two places. I grew up in Florida and I grew up in New York. But trying to get a job at one of those cattle calls in New York was impossible. Everybody from Hollywood was coming into New York. TV was just really getting going. So I found that Bangor, Maine was looking for the staff announcer. You don't hear that expression anymore. Or you don't hear booth announcer anymore. So I got my old Chevy and I drove up, and there was a fellow here, a nice man, Bob Patton, and Dick Bronson. And they auditioned me on a Saturday morning and hired me for the job. And I got in my old Chevy and drove back to New York. And I told my brother and my father, you're not going to believe this, but I'm moving to Bangor, Maine. And my father looked at me and he said, well, that's right near Hudson Bay, isn't it? And my brother said, they shoot deer behind every tree. They were both kind of making fun of it. So I said, look, I'm going up there for 1 year. I'm going to try to learn what I don't know about television and then get the heck back down to New York where, things, that's where you wanted to be. I was the NBC school at the Radio City Music Hall. And they had some nice dancers.
Rockettes.
I dated a rockette, as a matter of fact.
She's still talking about it.
Yeah, she's 97 now.
Is she still kicking? If you see,
I think she kicked the bucket. But
it was a really high bucket.
So I had been an athlete. I'd been a guy interested in sports media. And what shocked me about this place, I came up and I couldn't believe the amount of media attention paid to high school athletics. I mean, in New York, I was a stringer for the Times, the New York Times. And if I got an article in the Times on the weekend, it was like 2 lines. Mm-hmm. Curtis High School beat McKee High School 75-74 with a bucket buster, and that was it. And here they were televising it, broadcasting it. People were talking about it all week long, and it kind of fascinated me. And one town hated another town. You went to what school? And you just see some of that today. So it kind of caught my attention. And the more I stuck with it, of course, eventually I met someone and got married. But I just said, I like this place. Now, I had grown up in Cleveland, Ohio, Jacksonville, Florida, New Orleans, New York City. Yeah. Those places had very little attraction to me. I mean, once you've lived in New York, you've been there. It wasn't like, gee, this is big and the buildings are tall. And I thought Maine was more attractive than New York.
You love New York.
I do. But my favorite place is Eastern Maine. My second favorite place is New York City.
It has a lot. I mean, most people have never had their supper in Horn and Hardhart's Nickelodeon, where you go and put money in a slot and take a sandwich out. Most people are not a gopher at NBC, where you take people down the aisle. I can remember one of the quiz shows I worked, 21 or one of those things that they did in New York. And I basically took people and put them in their seats. And I'm working at NBC. No, I wasn't. I was a gopher.
It's still working.
Yeah. I've never asked you this. How proud were your parents of you becoming the broadcaster that you became?
Well, first of all, my brother was a broadcaster who won awards before me. And then he was also a lawyer, spoke 5 languages, and he became a lobbyist for all the trucking companies in the country. Now, how proud were they? I suppose my mother was. My father, not so much. My father was an executive at an international company. It was called Codrington Motors. George W. Codrington Motors. You get the picture here?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And it became the motor division of General Motors. My father was the assistant to the president. Now, what did he think of me becoming a radio announcer and not joining him? He thought I was nuts. He said, "You're doing what?" He said, "You're going to school there. I got you all set up for the General Motors school. I know I want to be an announcer. He looked at me and he said, well, I thought I raised somebody smart. So he wasn't awfully impressed. Later he was. Later he came up here and he sat in on a broadcast with me, and I did a ball game. And
when was that? 70s, 80s?
No.
Later, earlier?
60s, yeah.
Really?
Sure. Well, I came here. Remember, WABI-TV was the first post-war television station to open up. That's the reason I found out about it. During the Korean War, I guess it would have been Truman, put a freeze on all new television stations because they needed the equipment for the military. So Channel 5 was the first one, Maine's first station, and then there was one in southern Maine in Lewiston. Later, it probably became Mount Washington, I guess. And then WTWO came to Bangor.
Now WLBZ.
And Guy Gannett owned the newspaper, and that's how WGY became what it is. Well, I don't know what the call letters are anymore, but it was after Guy Gannett, who owned the building out on Mount Hope Avenue.
When you hit that 1 year anniversary of being in Bangor, did it occur to you had been here a year, and did you make a conscious decision at that point to stay? Or did it kind of sail by you when you looked in retrospect and said, oh, I guess I've been here longer than I thought?
Yeah, a little bit of each. It really was. You got to be a little bit older, Dan. The other fellow might remember. Every small town in America, everyone had a radio station. Most of them were situated in hotels, doctors' buildings where a doctor had a spare room and he put in a radio station to make some money. And you would send tapes out, reel-to-reel tapes, and you would mail them. And Broadcast Magazine had a whole section devoted to people looking for staff, announcer, DJ types. So I sent a ton of those out. Got a lot of yeses, got some nos. The closest I came was West Palm Beach, Florida. They wanted me. And they wanted me to do some spring training baseball and stuff. My kids have often reminded me, we could have been raised in Florida where it's warm. But I turned it down, and I stayed here because I liked the place. But I liked the people. Now, remember, I was working with some giants. I call them giants. Dick Bronson, George Gagne, Lee Nelson, the same family, same. That was Lee Nelson of Channel 6 was the son of Lee Nelson, who worked for me.
Now supermodel.
Yeah,
Lee
terrific
Nelson.
abs on that guy.
Yeah, supermodel.
Yeah.
And so it was the people, really. And we had a star here named Hal Shaw. When TV first went on the air, you became something special. You'd walk down the street and people would point at you. Go, he's on TV. They had never seen TV. You'd go into restaurants and people would come over and ask if they could have an autograph.
Yeah, talked about where, and I think it was Jeannie that once expressed that, can we just go out to dinner in peace and not have someone come over and, what's the fanboy, is that the term? And fanboy over you. And maybe that's why Pilot's Grill was so special, because they would put you in the oak room and set you aside so you could have your privacy.
That's a true story. I don't drink. So we'd go to a party and I'd be sitting there drinking my Coke. She'd say, this is the most boring night. She said, all you do is sit here and talk to people. Well, I talked to them because they talked to me. And Hal Shaw, I mentioned Hal, he was a little god. He went on to Washington, D.C., became Ranger Hal. While he was here, he was hit by a bus, injured severely. He lived up in Arno. And they were running daily bulletins on his house. He was so popular. But we ran local, everything was local. What's her name?
Miss Nancy.
Miss Nancy. Or somebody mentioned his name the other day, Norm Lambert. We played the organ.
Dinner time, right?
Dinner time.
Yeah, dinner time.
And I had 2 or 3 lines with Norm that broke him up. He would not talk, would not introduce his own songs, give me a list of what he was going to play. And yeah, you know how organ players are. He came out knowing me and knowing the personality I had. I walked out one night and I said, I've got to do something here. Hi, Norm, how are you? And he'd nod and he'd give a little flourish. I said, and what's on your organ tonight? Norm Lambert fell out of the seat. He literally was on the floor, and he was beating on the floor, laughing. I said, I have to say something, Norm.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been here for a year or close to it. And now, Norm, this was the old style New York, the dance bands they had in the hotels. Now, here is the lovely Mary Jones singing If I Loved You,
Yeah.
And I'd have to come out and say, here's our man Norm playing the theme from, it was boring. He was great. And I even remember the sponsor, Maine Central Railroad.
Oh.
And they sponsored Norm Lambert's dinner music.
On the nights when you were there with Norm, were you also doing morning drive that day?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this is what blows my mind. We look at ourselves, Dan, and we think we work stupid schedules because we work way too much. You're getting up before the crack of dawn, getting in, morning drive. You might be, at some point in time, going and covering a sports event.
Not sometimes.
Yeah, true. And then finally, and now you've got to be with Norm for the dinner hour. And by the time you get home, what'd you get? Like 2-3 hours of sleep before you had to get up and do it again?
Well, I had afternoons off. I did see the kids after school. I would do the morning show. John McCrae had been the big morning man here. John was my boss, and he later passed away. Ralph Hunt was the morning man. He left. Jim Winters, who went on to be a vice president of a Major League Baseball club, he did it. And then it opened up, and they said, well, you're the new morning man. So I started doing the morning show. Then I would come back for the news at 6 and do sports. And if there was a game, I would go out and do the game.
Was someone writing your sports for you? You're researching it and prepping it yourself?
Yeah, everything was on cue cards. We would come in the afternoon and write everything in wax, black wax pencil, on a white card, and some guy would hold it up. So
We should have done that with the night show instead of going through all the cardboard.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
And the first one I did was for Viner Music. And the idiot boy held it upside down. I kept trying to do the commercial, and I kept going.
Flip it over.
And TV was so different. Everything live. Well, we had a thing called Kinesioscope, where it was film of live. All shows at that time in Bangor were done on film. We had no live interconnection. That came later. I would, or whoever was on, there were 4 or 5 of them. I wasn't the only guy. And you would come out, and the one I had the most trouble with, they also added to my schedule the host of the 10 o'clock movie at night. If I didn't have a game, I came in at 10 o'clock at night, and I did the intros to the movie for the Harvard Theater.
is this every night or weekly?
Went every night.
Oh,
I didn't do it every night because I had a game, but Harvard Beer sponsored it. And a man with a long reputation here in Maine named Herman Zahagian, who owned the Fairview Wine Company, was the sponsor. Now, the problem we had was, remember now, I'm fresh out of the Navy. I'd gone to school after the Navy, 22, 23, so I was young. On a Monday morning, after I'd done about the 3rd or 4th show, a group of ladies arrived at the studio demanding to see the general manager. They were from the Women's Christian Temperance Union. And they wanted to know why this young boy, they called me a boy, was selling the devil's brew on this thing called television. And I remember his name was Lee Gorman. He was a funny guy. Called me and he said, "Can't you grow a beard?"
To make you look. So morning drive, run and cover sports, get back here with Norm and his organ, sometimes be here for 10 o'clock. Do you think that they took advantage of you?
No.
Because you were the kid that was going to say yes?
Oh, yeah, I volunteered for most of it. I left Bangor, did the morning show, which went 6 to 9 in those days. Then you went ABC at 9. Then I was off, went to what is now the airport. It was an old wooden building, I think, out there at that time. Got on the Northeast airliner, the Yellowbird, flew to Boston, grabbed a flight to St. Louis, and did a basketball game in St. Louis the same night that I had opened up the morning show at 6 a.m. Now, I couldn't get back that night, but I was there. There I was out in St. Louis doing Maine against St. Louis. People would ask me, how did you do that? Well, I fell asleep on the airplane. I spent many Christmases, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, doing such things as that in my...
The family was okay with that?
Oh, no. My wife, well, she's okay with it, yeah. I mean, the kids didn't know much different, but they were young, but we would comment on it. I missed a lot, sure. I missed births, at least one birth. I missed my mother-in-law passing away. That was a hard night. I was doing the College World Series. I got a phone call prior to the first inning from my wife telling me that her mother had just died. And I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. And I said, I'll get on the plane, come back. She said, no, your job's with the baseball team. And I did the game.
Wow. What if you had gotten on that plane? Were there backup plans back then for somebody to step in last minute like that? Did you have a partner in the booth?
Along the way, Steve Barton came along.
Yeah.
Gary Thorne, I hired him. He came along. Actually, the guy that I replaced on basketball in the tournament was Bud Lovett. And he wasn't a broadcaster. In fact, he was funny. But my first tournament was at the old Bangor Auditorium. Now remember, there was an
older. Yeah.
It was a wooden building, and we televised it. I say we, the station televised it. Didn't have any equipment, and Walter Dixon, our great general manager and chief engineer, hired RCA and their equipment and their team to come in and do the engineering. So RCA brought the equipment up. They brought up the guys that run the cameras and ran the shading and all that kind of stuff. And that's how we did the tournament. But my job, the first job, was to do live commercials for W.T. Grant on the floor. I didn't do play-by-play. Bud Lovett did it with somebody else, another writer. Writers owned sports in those days. And the commercials for W.T. Grant, I remember them well, were for ladies' underwear. Now, I want you to understand that the people that had me and what we would call the IFB now talked to me the whole game. And you can just imagine what these engineers from New York and New Jersey were saying to me while I did the live ladies' underwear commercial.
Oh. Could you have said no to that?
No, I never said no to anything.
He's here.
Point taken.
Well, I will tell you the truth. And it sounds like a bragging, and I don't want to ever sound that way. I was criticized severely by Walter Dixon and Dick Bronson for doing too much.
Well, yeah.
Walter was afraid that I was on too much. He said, we tune you on the radio, then you come in the afternoon TV, then you come back in the evening TV. It wasn't that they would get bored. He just said, somebody's going to accuse us of working you to death.
So they weren't concerned about there being audience fatigue. They were and they weren't concerned about you getting burnt out. They were concerned about the accusation that they're making you do too much.
Yeah, and remember, I had hair. I was young. Somebody said that girls like me, but I don't know.
I think you said that girls like you.
Well, it's hard to explain, especially you would understand better, but still difficult, the way people looked at you and talked to you. I mean, if you got on the bus and you rode the bus, everything came to a stop on the bus. This is the first year of television, and I was doing pitch work at times for television and dinette sets and things like that. And there was a place in Bangor called the New Central Furniture Company, not far from where all those churches up the hill. The two characters who ran the New Central Furniture Company, their nicknames were Pappy Rappy and Smilin' Dave. Doesn't that sound like a furniture outfit?
Sounds like a commercial that could be written today.
Yeah.
Well, Pappy Rappy and Smilin' Dave. This is George Hale in the window of New Central Furniture Company. And we were selling beds and TVs. And you can't imagine the kind of people buy anything you offered.
Yeah.
Well, Mitch Sleeper made a
Sleepers.
a hero out of himself.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the one that I hated after a while was John Paul. Big or tall, small.
Big and tall, John Paul fits them all.
Fits them all.
Yeah.
John Paul fits
Yes.
them all. I did all of that, and they sent me away to school.
For that?
No, they sent me away to be a pitchman. I went to Boston, and I was one of our big clients was Sturdy Dinette. It was a dinette that had a ceramic top, and I would set it on fire, and I would hit it with a hammer, and I would open the very easy to open sliding door that the engineers had in between commercials nailed shut. And it added something that would blow up when I lit it up. But
Was the transition from that style of TV to what we're more accustomed to today difficult for you?
no, not really, because I'd in the meantime, I'd taken up horse race announcing and automobile announcing. I went to make some money. You weren't making a hell of a lot of money. And so I did things like that. And they're all pitches. So pitching was kind of a... Jack Barnett, I remember him, was the pitch man. They sent me away to Boston, and he taught me how to pitch. He was the guy at the fair that did the knives and all the things that would 16 different ways, and he made a ton of money doing that. So they paid him to teach me how to do what he was doing.
Dan and I recently talked about having to reinvent ourselves for our careers. And part of that episode, all of that episode was inspired by you, because you talked to us about reinventing yourself, starting as a radio announcer, becoming a television personality, doing weather, sports announcing, Norman is organ, eventually becoming a talk show host, and racing and serving under 4 or 5 governors?
Yeah, I think there was 6 before we got done.
6. Holy cow.
It was Governor Brennan. Actually, I had worked for Governor Hildreth.
Hildreth, right? Because of the
He owned
television station. Yeah.
And one night the phone rang. This is Governor Brennan. Really? You are the new commissioner of racing in Maine. All right, thank you.
No ask.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for calling.
And
Sure it wasn't the robocall?
I remember when I went into his office, this was an indication of my entrance into politics. I got into the inner sanctum, the governor's office. Some people in there I knew, and he looked up and he says, "Glad to meet you. Happy to appoint you." And then he said, "Have you ever done anything that's going to embarrass me?" I said, "Sure."
Today?
He said, like paying your taxes or being arrested. I said, "No, I've avoided those." He said, "Okay, I don't want them coming back and saying I'll hire the corkers." And then it was one governor after that reappointed me, particularly Baldacci.
But the reinvention, were you intentionally reinventing yourself, or is it circumstance came to you and then, okay, I guess I'd better become this person, or I'd better become this professional, I should say?
I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. I think it was more of me wanting to do it. I was very interested in politics in those days, less than I am today. So Maine was rock-ribbed Republican. I had worked for a Republican governor. Brennan was a Democrat. And all the Democrats in the area liked me because I was young. And I was trying to remember Margaret Chase Smith is the heroine of all heroines. I liked her. She was terrific. It wasn't like it is today. Governor from Presque Isle, he was a Republican. He was a harness race guy. I got to be friends with him.
Was that Governor Reed?
John Reed.
Testing my own memory. I'm going to give myself a high five for that. Thank you. Thank you
I
very
walked
much.
out onto the field with John Reed. I introduced him, and everybody booed. And I said, "Sean, they're booing you." He said, "Yeah, I know. They do it all the time."
Well, it's good to see not much has changed.
No, nothing has changed.
I heard recently, correct me if this is wrong, but that you were the person who convinced WABI TV to start televising University of Maine games. Even if
Yes,
it's not, just take credit for it.
I don't want to take credit for George Gagne, who was a graduate of the University of Maine and a broadcaster. He wanted the games televised. And it's true that I was very friendly with the coach, very friendly with the athletic director and the president. And I pushed hard to get the games on TV with one camera, black and white. But without George Gagne, it wouldn't have happened because he was a graduate of Maine, well known. But I did, yeah, I was involved.
When you see the games today, obviously a lot has changed. But when you see the games today, how does that make you feel?
Well, I like the games. I watch a ton of football, particularly. I think we were a better group. The enthusiasm, the excitement, the state series up here. I don't know it's as exciting as it once was. People would talk all week long. I can remember when Stearns High School had a great player, and he got the flu or something. They were going to the tournament. They literally, on the Millinocket radio station, gave health bulletins every hour. John McDonnell.
I kind of miss that localism.
Yeah.
We used to be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
No, not the way it used to be. On the other hand, don't get arrested.
That is sage advice. I'm going to write that one down. We need to ask you a last question.
Okay.
Are you glad you stayed in Maine?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I have never looked back on anything in my life. Well, a few things maybe, but no. You do what you're supposed to do. I'm a lucky kid. My father was a great influence, and my brother a great influence. My father overcame the greatest obstacles that you can overcome to become a vice president of a major corporation that the Russians tried to capture one time. He was unschooled and became the vice president of what became General Motors division. He was born on a farm in the deepest part of Georgia. But he knew one thing: if you studied, you got ahead. And he drove that at me, drove that at my brother. Study, study, study. So, no. Maine was good to me. I tried to be good to it.
Thanks for listening to the Ric and Dan Show.
This pub cheese is delicious.
If you like what you heard, don't suppose you'd click that subscribe button.
And maybe leave us a review on your favorite listening platform.
5 stars are our favorite.
And next time you hear someone say,
You can't get there from here.
you tell them to listen to the Ric and Dan Show.